trying to think of, which Colin Cunningham do I want to talk about?
The one that led to Davis, and the one that led to being a guidance counselor for at-risk teens, and
Well, look, I'll
led to
tell
this
you,
extraordinary man that I call my friend.
I'll tell you a story I don't tell. Um, Basically, my childhood was a little interesting. Great family, everybody loved and supported. Nobody, thank God, was an alcoholic or beating anybody up. But from the time I was about 6 months old, I had full blown atopical eczema from my neck all the way down. And and it was bad, man. So I was in and out of hospitals, in and out of doctors' offices. I mean, constantly, and incredibly self-conscious about it. So for the first 12 and a half years of my life, I wore a turtleneck, long sleeve shirts, long pants. And this is in North Hollywood. All right. This is growing up in Van Nuys and Los Feliz in Southern California, where the temperatures can hit 103, 104, 105. And I always wore a turtleneck, long sleeve shirts, and long pants. And I never even went into the ocean until I was 13, because the salt in the ocean it'd be like iodine in a cut. Anyway, so I spent a good 10, 12 years in and out of doctors and all that kind of stuff. And the doctors always said, once he hits puberty, his whole system's going to change and it's just going to go away. And sure enough, one day it all just went away. And then I got into other things, became a teenager, you discover girls, you're in school and all this kind of stuff, And it wasn't until, I guess I was about 23, 24, that I was just feeling like a fish out of water. I didn't feel like I quite fit in. I had friends, I was happy, I wasn't doing anything stupid, and but I just didn't feel connected. I always felt like I was in a crowd and on my own. And it was funny, it was a friend of mine who said, well, like, what about your parents? And I'm like, no, man, like I said, nobody's an alcoholic. I never got beat. She says, was there anything that made you different as a kid? And I was like, no, I was a normal kid. I had a bike. It all came back. It was a trip. Anyway, so it flooded back. And I was like, holy shit. Like, fuck, man. And then just all this imagery came flooding back in of, oh God, it's just so crazy. It's a great story to tell, but these images would flood back in of this little kid who had to go on a school field trip to the local swimming pool.
Yeah.
And I would rip my skin to shreds, David, with my fingernails, because I was itching all the time. And I'd be just stripped. I'd strip myself and I'd go into my mom's room in the middle of the night and she would run a hot bath for me. And I'd get into the bath. And at the end of the bath, when I got out of it, it was pink. It was crimson, for God's sake. And I remember my mom, I could hear the sound of her tearing sheets in the hallway. She'd go to the Salvation Army and buy these cheap sheets, and she'd tear them up into bandages and she'd wrap me up like a friggin' mummy. So I was Boris Karloff for the first 12 years of my life, and it was a trip. And when things got hot, and you're playing basketball, whatever, you'd start to unravel. And then you got to make sure kids don't see anything. So I'm tucking all these bandages in and away, and then going to school field trips and then having to find a corner to being the last person on the bus to unravel yourself so that nobody catches you and all this stuff. Anyway, all that said, I guess I discovered acting. It was on a dare, and it was just completely different. And I guess I wasn't afraid of, I could hide within this, whatever walls you build up for yourself. And I was able to take that feeling of not being connected and use it, or at least use it as a tool. So discovered acting, wanted to start acting, wanted to start expressing and doing all this kind of stuff. And so I did. So I began to pursue this wonderful craft. I won't call it an art form of acting and directing and producing and writing, and just this whole creative process just really came as an escape to me, because I didn't quite fit in school, and I wasn't the best student. I was always sketching or doing flip books, making little movies, and dictionaries and all that kind of stuff. So that was in many ways my fantasy outlet. So I really got into the movies, and I really got into actors, and I really got into these genres and these iconic television programs that I grew up with, because I was kind of a latchkey kid sitting home watching TV, And so I don't know if that, well, of course it shapes you, and I think every decade that passes since, your world is colored all the more from it, and you see, oh my God, this colored my life in that way, that colored my life in this way. And there's really nothing unique about it. Everybody goes through it. Everybody's got some kind of something that made them different. And they were different. You're all different. We're all different. There's no, we're all the same. No, you're all individual, sovereign, independent human beings with your own voice and your own form of expression. I've never been one to divide people up into things, because there's not enough divisions. It's infinite, absolutely infinite. So I don't know, at the end of the day, man, I think the person standing in their shoes, that's the ultimate, I don't want to say minority, but that's it. You're you, and there's only one of you. And figure it out as best you can. Do what you got to do. Work as hard as you can to get where you want to get. If you get tired and exhausted, go to your corner, man. Take a breath, but then you get back out there and you hit it again. Because it's a journey. It's really, really a journey. So yeah, so there's me in my childhood. Geez, where'd you come? Never told that story, and obviously why. But holy crap, man. I can't believe you got that out of me. That's crazy.
I appreciate you sharing it. I mean, I've had the pleasure of knowing you for well over 10 years now, and there's always been something. I mean, I used the word constitution in the text message that I sent you earlier today. You have always been someone whose constitution I have admired, and it has to come from a place where you have adversity, and you either overcome it or you don't. And it sounds like that young man did. Thank you for watching this clip from Dial the Gate. If you enjoyed the video, please consider giving us a thumbs up with that like button. It will encourage the algorithm to show this to other Stargate fans. Also, please consider sending this to a fellow Stargate friend. I also want to invite you to subscribe to future episodes right here on YouTube. We are a live show, so changes are likely to happen all the time. And if you plan on joining us live, you'll want to be the first to know. Be sure to visit dialthegate.com for the complete guest schedule, so you'll know when to join us and ask your very own questions to our guests. See you on the other side.